Good afternoon and welcome to the MCG for Willow Talk Extras, wrapping up day 2 of the 5th test of the border-gavaskar trophy. I'm Izzy Westbury. We've had a slew of characters come onto our podcast over this series, but I believe for the first time we've got the David Boone lookalike. Many people mistaken for that, I'm told. Merv Hughes,
yes.
Welcome to the pod.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And what a couple of days it's been in Sydney.
It's been good fun.
Even
for a
amazing. Victorian. Oh, well, Scotty Boland's doing well. Build a man a statue, I say.
Talking of Victorians, and as we know, I think every time he comes on to bowl and you're on air, we hear the Build the Man a statue. Yes. There's a lot of statues around here, so fit in one or two. What was your highlight of the day?
The highlight of the day, this is very un-Australian of me, but Pant's batting. When he came in that first ball, India are in a little bit of trouble. He just runs down the wicket, hits one over mid-on, 6 runs. And you just think, okay, what he's done, he's laid the foundation, hasn't he? He's just saying, right, you might be on top here, we might be in a bit of trouble, but you're not going to intimidate me. So that was really good batting. And just the way he batted throughout, yes, he got out to what some are going to say was a bit of a rash shot, but he doesn't get that 50 plus by just sitting around trying to block and trying to build an innings. On a wicket like this, doing everything, I thought he played a very brave way and I thought he played the right way.
There was a moment there where he was on to beat the record for the fastest Test 50 by an Indian, which of course he already holds.
That didn't matter because he's already got it.
Right, but still, 28 balls was the record. He got his 50 off 29. Now, I was saying I've got a bit of a shiver because it's getting a bit chilly here late in the evening. Was there a chill down your spine when you thought, oh, this could be a repeat of the Gabba the last time this series was held on Australian shores? Could Pant have turned the test?
Well, he could have already. Without his innings, India would be really struggling. So he came out and just showed with a little bit of bravery and a little bit of sort of nous and just saying, right, I'm going to take this game on. I'm not going to be dictated to. And he did that really well. So, mate, the target already for Australia, the question is it out of hand? Now, the big one is Bumrah going to be bowling in the second innings? We saw him leave the field today. He go off for what you could only imagine was going to be scans. He's come back to the ground. We haven't heard anything.
Oh, I might have a bit of breaking news there or some inside information. I hear that it's only a back spasm. That's all right. You've put a few injections in and you're away to go, right?
Well, back spasm, that can heal overnight. So what we did notice, so when he was bowling, he was really struggling. His pace was down. So obviously for India, it's going to be a really important thing. And for Australia, if he's not 100%, obviously that's going to aid Australia. But I think the Australians have got to take a leaf out of Beau Webster's book, is that Beau Webster came out and he was sure of his game. He was forward, he was back, he wasn't caught on the crease. And a lot of the Australian guys just got caught on the crease. So Usman Khawaja, Travis Head, they were caught on the crease and just got out nicking off. So I reckon they've got to be positive. And it's almost as though they've got to be aggressive. You don't have to be silly about it, but positive, aggressive, where if you go back, you go back. If you go forward, you go forward. You don't get trapped on the crease and turn yourself front on, because as a bowler on a wicket that's doing plenty, that's where you want the batsman.
Well, we're talking about the big fast bowlers in a moment. I'll give you a quick wrap of the scores then. Australia started the day 1 for 9, bowled out for 181, despite Jasprit Bumrah going off for what looked like, they were scans. And he was certainly in the last over before he went off. He was bowling, I think, 10 kilometres an hour down on what he usually bowls. So something was obviously wrong. 4-run lead to India at the time. Australia at the time. India were in trouble before Rishabh Pant came out and went, I'm going to play it my way. I think he had a bit of a talking to in the first innings where the coach, Gautam Gambhir, had said, play for the team. And he tried really hard, 40 runs, I think, off 98 balls. And then this time he went, no, it's
That's the way I play.
The way I play, yes. Absolutely. Playing shots that nobody else can. He went mad, 61 off 33 balls. So 29 balls to get to his 50. The game probably, right in the balance. So at the moment, India lead by 145 runs. They've still got 4 wickets in hand. So we think that Jasprit Bumrah is going to be fit and okay to come back tomorrow. Is it already too far out of reach?
Yeah, well, the game scores are indicating that the scores are getting lower, so you have a look at it. Normally day 2, day 3 are the best times to bat on wickets, and especially here in Sydney. Then day 4, day 5 it gets a little bit tough, but what we've seen, it's a different wicket, it's a lot greener, and the ball's seaming around and bouncing, and there's a little bit of uneven bounce. That's not going to get any better. So if you follow the pattern of the game, the scores are getting lower. So it'll take India a very good effort to better their first innings score. So that indicates the scores are getting lower, and therefore the trend of the game is against Australia batting last.
So 181 was India's first innings score, 185 for Australia. Currently India are 6 for 141. This could get real squeaky bum time tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. Your highlight of the day, you said, was un-Australian. You went for Rishabh Pant, in which case I'll go Australian and say that Scott Boland...
Build a man a statue.
All right, I need to leave a space for that a little bit. But, I know he's a Victorian, he's got a wonderful record at the MCG, but the SCG, 15 wickets at under 10. In this series so far, he's got 19 wickets at 14. Only Bumrah is better than him for average-wise, 32 wickets at 13. This is extraordinary scenes. How has he not been playing for Australia far more than he has already?
Well, I'll mention a name, Josh Hazlewood.
Oh,
There's a reason. But the big thing about Scotty Boland, yes, he's 35, 36 years old, but he's got a young body and when we talk about a young body in cricketing terms, he hasn't played a lot of international cricket. He's played a lot. He's played about 100 Shield matches, I think, but over a long period of time. So people are saying, why wasn't he in the Australian team sooner? He wasn't in the Victorian side, so he's behind Peter Siddle and James Pattinson, and it wasn't until they left, and that was maybe 6-7 years ago, that he started getting a real good opportunity. His performances for Victoria have been very solid throughout, and he's very unassuming. I don't think he likes the spotlight.
Not at all.
But you get out there and he just runs in and, here's something different. Let's just bowl good length on off stump. It seems to work.
Yeah, I did enjoy when you had that little conversation with Glenn McGrath on air, and you thought, well, this age-old tactic of bowling it on a sixpence, really.
Yeah. And that's the quality of both attacks, really. When you've got Bumrah, who's been outstanding, and Siraj has come back into the game, he seemed to lose his way a little bit after that send-off to head, and the crowd got on his back. And
back in the Adelaide Test, second test, yeah.
And then the Melbourne Test, he was a little bit underdone. He just looked off. Brisbane, he was a bit off, but here he got his mojo back, didn't he? And it was very important for India for him to get his mojo back when Bumrah left. So he picked up a couple of wickets, and it's going to be on him. You can't leave the workload to Bumrah. It's got to be the other guys.
This is what I was
going
to ask you, as a big, fast, burly bowler, making good use of pitches. This seemed to be the first day in which the rest of India's seamers really stood up. Siraj was there, Krishna was there as well, Reddy got a couple.
Yep. Well, they needed to, didn't they?
But was that the pitch, or was that actually really good Indian bowling?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. Obviously, the pitch is giving the fast bowlers some assistance, and with Bumrah out of the game, he doesn't bowl his overs, so someone's got to take up the slack. So maybe Reddy bowled a few more overs than he did. He picks up a couple of wickets, and the other guys have chipped in, so they've done really well. It could have been easy for them to, Bumrah's gone, what do we do now, and panic. But what they did was, Bumrah's gone, let's lift the standard. And they seemed to lift their standard and put the Australian batsmen under real pressure, and they got conventional wickets. It wasn't as though the Australian batsmen were going after them and getting out. They got conventional wickets, so well done to them.
Yeah, many bowled, caught behind, etc., caught in the slip cordon. Australia at one point reduced to 4 for 39. I think they lost 4 for 19. Again, this was with Bumrah on his way or already off the field. So some really good stuff from India. Leaves Australia in a precarious position. Beau Webster, though.
Beau Webster was outstanding.
And 57, highest score for Australia. That was brilliant stuff.
Well, 57, like I said, he came out and he's just assured of his game. He was front, he was forward, he was back, he was big, definite steps. He wasn't caught on the crease. He didn't look nervous. And, his first test match coming in at that score, it would have been easy for him to panic. But he was fantastic, wasn't he? Batted really well in the partnership with Smith, and Smith got out, and he just kept going. But he's going to be... as a debutant, he's going to play an important role in the second innings, coming into that number 6 spot. If Australia falters early, then Beau Webster's going to be put under the pump again. And mate, he just seemed to handle everything so well. The couple of catches he took in slip, he looked very comfortable there. When he bowled in the first innings, unlucky not to get a wicket. Then he came out and batted really well. Picked up his wicket in the second innings there, his first Test wicket. He looks a fairly likely type. And with that, with what he's done in Shield cricket over the last couple of years, comes confidence. So confidence in his game, he comes in, he doesn't change what he's been doing, he just keeps doing the same thing. It's been successful for him.
It's funny, the way you talk about Beau Webster is similar to the way you talk about Scott Boland, and the Sheffield Shield remains that real training ground for the Aussies coming in.
Well, they've come in as experienced players. Now, Sam Costa's, on the other hand, he's a 19-year-old, he's still finding his way. And he's still unsure about how he plays and what to do, but he's been brave in what he's done. And the big thing about it is that what I love about Beau Webster and Scotty Boland, they've come in, they haven't tried to be better, they haven't tried to do anything different other than what they've done in Shield cricket, and it works for them there, so it's going to work for them at this level.
You mentioned the partnership with Steve Smith. He was out for 33 from 57 balls in the end, just 5 runs shy of 10,000 runs. Now, the other Australians that have reached 10,000 runs in Test cricket, Alan Border, Steve Waugh, and I think Ponting as well. They were all here today.
Yeah.
Are they going to have to come back tomorrow? Is it tomorrow going to be the day?
Fingers crossed. If he misses out, if he doesn't get 10,000, I reckon we're going to be 3 for not many. So it's going to be an interesting one. And I called on air today. I forgot about the second innings. I said it's going to be sad that he gets his 10,000 runs overseas. But mate, the way that Smith bats, he's a man that, if I'm in the Indian team, he's the wicket I'm chasing. To me, he's going to be the difference tomorrow. If he can stay at the crease, get his 5 runs and then go on from there, he can steer Australia home.
So we've talked about the wonderful innings by Rishabh Pant, but that intent was evident from the off. We saw Jasprit come out, hit Mitchell Starc for three consecutive fours, I think it was. So 16 off the first over.
Yeah, 3
Is that the
consecutive
way
fours
that Australia are going to have to play tomorrow?
Oh, like I said, they've got to be sensible, but they can't just sit there and try and pat around and pick up singles and that. If the ball's there to hit, they've got to get themselves in good position and they've got to play their shots, because if they fall into the trap of, it's doing too much, I'm just going to try and survive, the number one priority with Australia tomorrow is scoring runs. So, mate, it's no good trying to bat time. There's still 3 days left in the Test match. So they've got to come out, they've got to be positive, they've got to score runs, and Smith showed that today, Beau Webster showed that today, Pant showed that today. The guys that come out with intent did better.
Wrapping up tomorrow, going to be in the pub by what time?
Well, 4 wickets to 4 for India. I reckon that might take about an hour. A little bit of a resistance, and probably Starc and Cummins will open. So we'll have to wait for Scotty Boland to come on and build that man a statue. I tell you, he'll clean up. Hat trick for Scotty Boland tomorrow. There you go. There's a call. Australia what are they going to be chasing? 180, 190, and they're going to have their hands full. And like I said, if Australia are to win, I think it's going to have to rest heavily on Steve Smith's shoulders.
Well, the border-gavaskar trophy, you would imagine, lies on the line tomorrow, day 3 at the SCG, which means it's time, Merv, for the secret cricket club questions, where our listeners they send in their questions, and they
that's
can
a mouthful, isn't it?
It is a mouthful.
Cricket club
and
questions.
They can be very varied and all ends of the spectrum. So, before we get into questions, though, a special shout out to Jake, who sent in a DM on Instagram. So many ways you can get hold of the Willow Talk Extras podcast. He predicted that Kohli would get out, nicking off for less than 10. I mean, great prediction, but also I don't think that's sort of like the most wonderful foresight in the world, considering that he's already been called the nicking machine this whole series.
That's like saying that a $1.50 favourite's going to win the Benalla Cup at Victoria, because he's every chance to, isn't he? And Kohli's form hasn't been great. The Australians have really bowled well to him. Just that outside off stump, just nicking off, and the Australians have been catching reasonably well. And that was another thing that went against the Australians today, to be honest, was they dropped a couple of catches that could be costly.
Yeah, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, two greats of the
Yep.
game. We actually had a bit of clarification on Rohit Sharma, who is, by the way, definitely not retired. He had
Yep.
opted to rest for this test, but he's also since told Star Sports, I sat out of this match because runs are not coming off my bat. So at least we have actually the reality of what it was.
So he's been dropped.
No obfuscation. He had been
Yeah.
dropped, but he dropped himself, which is
Yes.
absolutely fine, and well done to the man.
Well,
for
that's a
fronting
brave
up.
that's a brave thing to do, because as a captain of the side, you want to lead the way.
Of course.
And I would say that it wouldn't have solely been his decision. He would have spoken to other guys about it and the coach, and they, mate, listen, it's just not happening for you. You missed that first test in Perth and they won. He's come in, he hasn't scored the runs that he's wanted. He's batted in the middle order, he's gone to the top, and it hasn't worked for him. So, yeah, I just think that give him a pat on the back as captain. He's put his hand up and said, listen, I'm not batting well, and we need guys to make runs.
Absolutely, big step from big man.
Yeah.
So, yes, thank you very much. Junie, he asks, you must be proud of Boland Barrel as a fellow Victorian. He can do no wrong! Exclamation. That's not even a question. That's just a statement.
Build the man a statue. That's all you've got
Yeah.
to say. Now, Scotty Boland's been excellent, and the conversation, the age-old conversation, you should be playing more cricket, but the thing about it at this level is that you can only pick 11. And when you've got Hazelwood, you've got Cummins and you've got Stark, they're three sensational players. You've got a great spinner in Nathan Lyon. They've all got around that 300 mark test wickets. So you're not going to drop those. So Scotty Boland gets an opportunity when there's an injury. He comes in, he does well. As did Jai Richardson a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So Stark got injured, he came in. Michael Nessa came in for Pat Cummins. They all do well. So it just shows that the depth that we've got. And you've got Lance Morris that's waiting in the wings. So if Stark doesn't come up or struggles for Sri Lanka, then he comes in. So what Australia's DNA selection has done over the last couple of years is they pick their best three bowlers and their most intimidating. And quite often, your most intimidating is in your best bowlers anyway. And Mitch Stark is certainly that. And you look back at Mitch Johnson and guys like that they were intimidating, but they were in your best anyway.
I think you've got a few aces up your sleeve over in Australia and fast bowlers. Cody asked, we've already discussed Kohli, but he asked, is Kohli done? I would say possibly done in Australia. We might have seen the last of him on Australian shores. I don't think India are coming back for another 3 years. So he'll be a 39 by that point.
Yeah.
I don't think he's done in Test cricket. There's a big series against England in their summer.
Well,
I reckon he'll be up for that.
Did you say their summer or our summer? Because you're an our, I'm a there.
Well, okay, fine. In July. July
So
or
the big
August.
one there is that, yes, Kohli's nicked everything here, but he's a great player. So the thing that tells me he's not finished is he's catching in the slips. He's catching really well. If you're catching really well, you haven't locked the reflexes. And there's a lot of batsmen that go through stints or just patches where they nick everything, where normally they could play and miss. So for me, Kohli's too good a player. And I'd be saying to the English guys, watch out when he's over there because he's due for some runs.
No, I think we always watch out when Kohli's around. James asks, we talked about the good bowling. Do you think the pitch like this leaves a little too much to chance?
Oh, batsmen will say that. But I just think there's got to be a contest between bat and ball. And when we see a low-scoring game, and this is a low-scoring test match, people say the wicket's not great. Okay, the wicket's more suited to fast bowling than it is to anyone else, and they deserve the opportunity to bowl in conditions that suit them because for too many years and too often we play in batting friendly conditions that give the bowlers nothing. So, mate, the good batsmen find a way. The good batsmen find a way, and tomorrow we're going to find out just how good we are. But I just think that we can't have it all one way. We don't need flat wickets where team makes 500, next team makes 520, then they bat out 300, and 5 days of cricket, and you just think, what the hell's that about? But this, how exciting has this been? So we're into the 2 days. It's probably not going to go into the 4th day, and we're sitting here saying, what a great game of cricket. It's got everything.
I'm speaking to a Burley fast bowler who would have loved to play in this era, and you would have wreaked absolute havoc.
I would have loved to have played on
I
that.
know you would
The
have.
crap that we had to play on 30 years ago, fair dinkum, and they threw you the new ball, and Alan Border said, just scuff that up enough for the spinners and piss off down to backward square leg, will you? And that's all we did here in Sydney for a long time. So I'm not opposed to conditions that create a contest. What I am opposed to is when it's far weighted in favour of either batsmen or bowlers. So
I tell you, Merv Hughes at your peak on that pitch. I don't think anyone would want to face
I would have
that.
been great for the highlights.
Oh,
I would have been
absolutely.
Pant would have slogged me everywhere.
Oh, I don't know about that. Xander, he asks, why is everyone writing off India if they don't have Bumrah? Australia played poorly in the first innings, are going to struggle to make 150 with or without Bumrah. So we think Bumrah will be back.
Yeah.
He reckons that India are half a chance without him.
Obviously, India are going to be weakened, and they're a bowler down. But having said that, they've got Reddy. They've got a couple of all-rounders that are there to do the job. Jadeja is the one that we haven't spoken about. So day 3, sunshined all day today. It's out tomorrow, so it might become spinner friendly. We've just got to wait and see that. But with that, obviously India with Bumrah are a more dangerous side. But having said that, like we said earlier, is that it was interesting to me, the 3 other guys, the 3 other quicks stepped up. So in the absence of Bumrah, they didn't drag their backsides and say, oh no, we're done. It's almost as they puffed their chest out and they said, this is an opportunity for me. And they bowled really well. Can they do that again in the second innings? They're young, they're inexperienced, yes, but if they can maintain that, it's going to be very hard for the Aussies. And if they can't, then the Aussies are going to get some runs.
And this is also the last innings for anybody playing here. So you put everything into it.
Yep.
The border-gavaskar trophy is on the line. New legacies will be made or broken here.
Border-gavaskar trophy, the World Test Championship. There's a bit on the line. There is a bit on the line.
If you're in Sydney, day 3, you have to come down. It's going to be absolutely ridiculous. Final important question. Now, we've already seen that there's been a hagiography, a film made of Capel Dev, 83, I think. Great film. Watch it if you can. But who would play Merv Hughes in a movie? This is Clappy asking here, and he suggests Jason Statham.
No, Tom Selleck.
Come again?
Tom Selleck.
All right.
Tom Selleck, Magnum. Like, I've already got the Hawaiian shirts. I've just got it mapped out. I realise that in due course, in the years to come, there is going to be a movie about me because I am a living legend and a household name, so someone's got to play me. I know it's going to sound funny having a bloke playing an Australian cricketer with an American accent, but I reckon we can get through.
I was going to go for The Rock, but he has to grow a tash or two.
Nah, Tom Selleck.
All right, there you go. Heard it here first. That is the end of day 2, the end of this Willow Talk Extras podcast, wrapping up day 2 at the SCG. I'm Izzy Westbury. Merv Hughes, thank you very much.
Thank you, Izzy.
And good night. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for watching the Willow Talk podcast on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't have to miss an episode wherever you are. And while you're at it, check out these videos up here. They're mostly good.